this is what campaigns are all about, Joe. I mean, in the end, if my party nominates someone who can connect emotionally with the American people and make a compelling case for why our set of philosophies and approaches are better than hers, we'll win.
Might not
Do
work
you think you're the best
demographically.
person for that?
Well, I mean, listen, this is what you can conclude, Becky. If I decide to run, then you can conclude that I think I'm the best person to do it. And one thing I will say is this, we shouldn't take it on faith this time. We should nominate someone who's actually won in a difficult situation. And so one of the things that I think recommends a potential candidacy by me the best is having won twice in New Jersey. We look at what the political situation is like over there, and it is a brutally difficult one for a Republican, yet I got 61% of the vote for re-election. So, and what matters is when you're campaigning. Your polls will go up and down based upon other events, and mine have, and they're down at the moment, and they'll go back up again based on events. But when you're in a campaign mode and you're selling yourself to the people that you're asking to vote from, that's when you can best determine what that person's ability is to appeal.
The very first debate of the Republican candidates is in August, and they're already saying they're only going to look at 10 candidates. They have to be polling well, I guess, that's the criteria they'll use. When will you decide? Because I'm assuming it'll be before then.
Oh, sure. And I've said, probably next month I'll decide. I have a day job, and I got to get a budget done by June 30th. And I don't want there to be any more distractions to that task than there are already. But I obviously have been going through the thought process. I've made it very clear to folks.
What's the threshold for you? Meaning, what is going to be the turning point in your thinking, one way or the other?
It's all internal, Andrew. I mean, it's nothing that happens externally. It's not about, poll numbers or fundraising or feel or any of that. It's three questions. Is it right for me? Is it right for my family? Is it right for the country? If you answer yes to all three, you run. If you answer no to any one of those, you don't. That's it.
Where's the family right now?
Family's pretty good. I mean, listen, two of my kids are off at college, and so they're just like, listen, good luck, send the tuition check, and they'll be fine. And the two younger ones are, we're having a lot of conversations. They're 14 and 11, and it's not like they're going to be making the decision, but they need to understand exactly what this is going to be like. Mary Pat, recently decided to leave her career in this business to provide, I think, a sense of stability to the kids that if we decide to do this, that, we're going to be involved in their lives still. That's the hardest part of it, Andrew, is 14 and 11. I mean, it's a lot of time away, and you don't want to mess up your kids. Right. And that's the hardest part of it.
Governor, I don't know how you walk the tightrope between not alienating what people, I'm not even sure it's a Republican base anymore, but there's still worry about alienating that base by being more inclusive on social issues. And I said this a lot in the last election. I heard people on the radio, they could have recited your growth edicts that you put down, but then they said I'm gay and I don't have the same rights as other people. When does it become, look, if you want to govern, you need to get elected. Why not be inclusive? Why not focus solely on the economy? And is there a Republican candidate that's going to see that and say, look, I want everyone to be happy. We include everyone. I don't care what your personal preference is anywhere.
Well, first off, as a candidate, you have to be disciplined and not fall into the trap. I mean, the trap is that there are certain elements of the media who want you to talk about that, who only want you to talk about that because they're goal-oriented and their goal is to get the Democrat elected. So they want you to do it. But the worst part from our party, from my perspective, is not necessarily the positions, because these are divisive issues because the country's divided, right? So it's your tone and how you talk about it. If you talk about these issues in a way that you are absolutely critical of a person who has a different view than you and dismissive of them, well, then they're going to be dismissive of you as a candidate. If you are talking to a person who's pro-choice on abortion and you're pro-life, and you say to them, like, listen, I'm pro-life and that means I'm going to heaven, and you're pro-choice and you're going to hell. Well, if that's your tone, they don't care what you have to say about pro-growth policies. They don't care what you have to say about any of that stuff. They care that you seem intolerant to them. That's tone. That's not position. I'm pro-life. And I've had that position as a two-term governor of New Jersey, the first person who's ever been elected as a pro-life person to a statewide office in New Jersey. My state is predominantly a pro-choice state. But the folks in my state know that I believe it's a difficult issue, and they know where my heart is. But they don't think that I dismiss them. that's the difference.
It's a tougher issue because if you're the president, you get to actually nominate the justices on the Supreme Court, and that becomes the center. And you
well, you get to do that in New Jersey too.
You might be the most open person to that issue, but on the other side, when it becomes a court issue, it becomes much more complicated.
Listen, and any president who believes that they can absolutely figure out, or any governor, after you nominate a justice of the Supreme Court, exactly what they're going to do is kidding themselves. We've seen that over and over again in our history. You know, as a president, what I would try to do is try to pick conservative judges who believe that their job is to interpret the law, not to make it. But once you put somebody in the court, you never know what's going to happen. And so, you know, it is a more difficult issue, Andrew. I agree with you. But again, we're getting back to Tone, and his question was about electability. And so I think it's how you present yourself. I feel very strongly about the things I feel strongly about, but I don't have to denigrate somebody else in the process. And I think part of our problem has been tone over time. And I think if the Republican candidate for president's tone is better and more inclusive, then you can get to a lot of the other issues that the media doesn't want you to get to.
Hey YouTube fans, I'm Landon Dowdy from CNBC. Thanks so much for checking out our channel. Here you'll find videos packed with all the info that you need to be smarter about your finances. Be sure and subscribe by clicking right here, and click on all the videos around me to see CNBC's original series Young Money, Tech Bet, Kramer's Mad Money, and all the latest from CNBC.